But it's really interesting what you bring up, and I want to turn to David on this because, you know, we were talking in some of the earlier sessions today about is service competitive with the military, what is, you know, USAID is out there, but meanwhile we have these broad challenges globally, and more often infusion of cash, but not human capital. As we think about expanding our national service programs, would you see an alignment where the federal government has an interest in these developing countries and these global issues of bringing human capital to work on some of these things?
I think this is the key. One of the areas that I've started to hear today some real focus on is not just talking about volunteering as about allowing people an opportunity to give back, or about what we teach our young people, but about how do we address core problems. And whether we're talking domestically about preventing people from making sure that people graduate high school, helping prisoners who are, you know, 700,000 of them are released from our prisons and end up on the front doorsteps of our community with no place to live and no place to work. Or we're talking internationally where we're trying, you know, how can you help educate a kid that doesn't have fresh water? We have to understand that the human capital is the strongest capital that we actually have to invest. And I think we're beginning to see in conferences like this and from a lot of policymakers that folks are willing to invest in people, because we know that if you look at a child of a prisoner who has a 70% likelihood themselves of going to prison without an intervention, the single best intervention we have is a volunteer that's willing to stand up and say, I care, and I will mentor that child for an hour a week for a year. That cuts the likelihood that they're going to go to prison in half. And we don't have a better intervention.
Right.
So we're starting to see policy dollars, federal dollars, and state dollars going to support organizations, not to pay the mentors, but to build the infrastructure that enables the recruitment of those volunteers. And I think we're seeing internationally through programs like Volunteers for Prosperity, the same kind of investment. Last year, 43,000 professionals used professional skills overseas as volunteers to help with health and clean water. And that's the kind of investment that I would hope to see corporate America be willing to support, so that if you care deeply about education or about AIDS in Africa, that you're not just providing the resources and the money, but that you're willing to help either provide or support the people that are ultimately going to be core to the solution.
Kenneth, you seem to be nodding your head. In your work with AIDS, do you want to comment on this topic that we're on about the need for sort of, if you will, a form of boots on the ground to help us take forward our global strategy and key issues?
I don't know what I can add specifically to what David just said, but I think that at the end of the day, we have to live our message, and we can sit and advocate and we can sit and talk about it, but I mean, government has expressed over the years its lack of willingness and in many cases resources to serve these various communities to the degree they need to. So it's incumbent upon individuals in business to essentially support the hand that feeds them. And I believe, by the way, that all business will get there. Either their hearts will get them there or their balance sheet will get them there. But one way or another, I think people will realize that there is a very appropriate place and they need to figure it out. And I, at the end of the day, I think it serves your myriad of agendas, and there are extraordinary opportunities, and we all know that the greatest beneficiary invariably is usually the giver, not the recipient, and we feel that as individuals and also collectively and individually. I think the business feels it, and that's something I think that you're hearing, and we know we feel it as individuals.